everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Disney Reel to Reel, a deep, deep, deep delve into the Disney animated canon. I am. Fine, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm a bad boy who needs to get taken to Pleasure Island. But not turned into a jackass. I swear to God.
Why would you do that?
I'm sorry.
I hate it.
I'm sorry. It wrecked me.
And I'm a poison apple that got dipped into a cauldron and then eaten.
Promptly eaten. Oh my gosh. It's so sad because this is like our final era and we're not bringing our A game, but
No.
that's showmanship.
I was gonna make a Pinocchio reference too, but then you took it and I was like, fuck.
Well, maybe it might have been better. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm a boy with no strings.
Oh, okay. Definitely more
I
wholesome.
got no strings to hold me. You know.
My alternative would have been I am absolute music. I'm music that exists simply for its own sake. But no. Anyway, I'm sorry. Moving on. All right. So before we talk about our final era, the Golden Age, we got to ask our next personal Disney question. I believe I'd like to ask, what do you think is your ultimate Disney ship?
Oh geez, ultimate Disney ship? Oh, that's hard. Does Disney Pixar count?
I'll bend the rules.
Judy and Nick.
Well, I don't know that.
I kind of like their relationship.
But I mean, like, are they actually a thing by the end of the movie?
You said ship. It doesn't have to be canon.
I know, but I'm saying, like, are they actually in a relationship?
I don't know if anyone knows.
Okay.
Because they have romantic tension.
Yes, they do. So I was like, if they actually do, then it's like, you need to pick another one. That's like headcanon.
If I had to pick another one, then why do you do this to me?
Because I make people think. Well, while you're coming up with one, I'll go ahead and say Milo and Tarzan.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep, that's my MVP. Because I've seen it.
Oliver and Company and the Trash. Oh wait, okay, here we go. Jose and Panchito.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
That's a good one.
I honestly wish I would have thought of that, but I forgot, so...
It's okay. I got you. I pick up the slack.
Represent. Wonderful. All right. So, we're talking about the crown jewels.
Yes.
How are we feeling? We've made it through 63 movies. Well, actually, Wish isn't out yet.
Wish isn't out yet, yeah.
But, still, it's over 60.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than Oliver and Company.
Yeah.
It's better than Fox and the Hound. As long as I don't have to watch that movie again, I'm good. Honestly, it's nice. And these movies, the Golden Age, I you can see why they're part of the golden age. Very obvious.
Yeah. How obvious are they? I feel like we have scaled a mountain and we've reached the summit, but we've gone past Disco Yeti.
We miss you.
Yes. But there's a hot demon instead, and I kind of like
Yes.
I'm like, get fair trade.
Fair trade.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess before we start ranking, we go into the context of the era, which, I mean, this is kind of like one of the great Hollywood success stories. Hell,
Yeah.
even American success stories of all time.
Yeah, I would dare say it would be one of the greatest American success stories because, I mean, that's just what happened.
It's literally the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The American dream.
Yes. What happened, dear listeners? You may ask. Well, there's this little guy named Walter Disney. He was like doing well enough during the Great Depression. You know, he's making some short cartoons involving this mouse, his girlfriend, and a dog. And he has a friend who's also a dog that walks around and stuff. But it's cool. But he was like, guys, I don't think we can make shorts for the rest of our lives. We should probably make a movie. Let's make Alice in Wonderland. Oh, wait, too late. Paramount is already making a movie about that. So it's like, okay, how about Bambi? We'll put that on the back burner. That's really hard to draw a deer right now. Like, we're drawing like sacks of wheat. We need to like make real things. So put that on the side. Okay, fine. How about Snow White? Yeah, Walt. Let's do it.
Why not?
Why not? And then they spent roughly 4 years working on it. It came out. It rocked the world. They grossed more than $8 million on its initial release. It like shook the film industry, like in ways that we can't even comprehend.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't have The Wizard of Oz if it weren't for Snow White.
Yeah. Snow White literally made the Wizard of Oz movie happen.
Yes. It's a big deal. And by this point, he was literally being hailed as a genius, getting honorary degrees from the University of SoCal, Harvard, and Yale. So, like, this little movie where we have animals cleaning houses with their asses, everyone was like, this is the tits.
Yeah.
And then they were like, what do we do for a follow-up? And everyone else is like, there's a follow-up? And they're like, yes, of course. How about Pinocchio? I'm like, okay, sure. And then they did it, and it did well with critics more than audiences. And then he had an idea. He had an idea that not a lot of people were into. It was called Fantasia. He was like, yo, I got my bros, Leopold Stokowski, Deems Taylor. We're gonna turn Beethoven into Megan Thee Stallion. It's gonna be great.
It was just ahead of its time. It was just ahead of its time.
Ahead of its time. And nobody liked it.
It was just ahead of its time.
Literally all the goodwill that Disney had built up through 1940 basically got demolished by this movie.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
It's so unfortunate.
Yeah. And then he was like, okay, we're still working on Bambi. It's kind of a problem still. Turning a very mature novel into a children's movie. So we gotta push that back a little bit. But how about Dumbo? And everyone's like, Dumbo who? But joke's on them because it wound up making the most money of any. Well, maybe It certainly beat every animated film that they released in the 1940s.
Mm-hmm.
But there might be one like live action animation film that outperformed it that
Yeah.
we don't like to acknowledge, but yeah. And then they were like, okay, we have no choice but to put Bambi out because of, a little thing called Pearl Harbor and World War II.
It's like people kind of need a feel-good movie right now.
I don't know if Bambi's a feel-good movie, but
No, but
we
they
just need to
tried.
we just need to put it out there. Please.
Just get something out.
Just get something out, and it also didn't help that they were dealing with a union strike while that movie was in production, and Walt was like, I'm not feeling any of this. Please take me to South America.
What a convenient trip.
I know, right? Godsend.
Truly.
Yeah. But yeah, and then things were never the same because everyone was making fair wages.
Those darn unionizers.
Those darn commies. Oh, man.
Man,
It was a
Walt would
different world.
hate me.
Yeah. But
What's this thing?
yeah.
What's this thing? Working your wage. Or it was acting. It's acting your wage. Acting your wage.
Yeah. You mean you want everyone to be paid more than $12?
Period.
Wild. It's wild. Actually, I should have looked up what the value of $12 was in 1941.
Inflation.
But I didn't. Inflation. Yeah. Before we
What
start
was the
getting
year
into money
again?
talk, 1941.
What was $12 in 1941? $12 in 1941 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $248.27 today.
Yeah, that is low. Especially when your higher ups are making like $200.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the right to be pissed.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. We love them. But yeah. So also I would like to state that for this ranking, I would like to start off our discussions because
Alright.
these movies are my shit. But before we do that, I'll say that my tiers remain the same as they have always been, going from my shiz to respect and appreciate to ite to dud to Chicken Little.
Mine are also staying the same. I got S through F. That's how it works.
F for fucktastic.
F for fuck you.
Yeah. And also I would actually like to start chronologically backwards.
Okay.
So let's kick things off with Bambi. Bambi, to put it simply, is a tone poem. Might as well be called Ode to Nature.
Basically.
And if I'm looking at it on that alone, I'd say that this is probably the most beautiful movie of the era. It hits me in the gut. And the only real demerit for it, in my opinion, is the second half, where everyone grows up and gets Twitter pated. Really the only reason is because that's where like the cartooniness really breaks in a movie that's otherwise very realistic. The fact that we have a skunk hardening up, so to speak, stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Who knows, man?
Have you seen The Craft?
The Craft, no.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's a 90s thing. Anyway.
I was born in the early 2000s, so...
Yeah, I'm sorry. But anyway, I love the backgrounds. I love the designs of everything. I love the music. It takes me away. It kind of puts me in the same vibe as Belle.
Mm.
It's just like this. I feel like that's a big thing that all of these movies have in common. It's like they don't give you what your rational, logical side of your brain wants to watch, but they give you what your emotions want to see. And Bambi, it's probably the most affecting movie on the list.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, it's just in a weird way. I feel this does feel like the right end to the golden age, because it's just so like the first half is what the audiences expected of Disney in the 1930s, but then by the end it's turned into a more mature, sophisticated thing, and then it has to be. And it's also like a little politically conscious, because hunters were really offended by this movie when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Saying they said it was the greatest insult presented in any form to American sportsmen. And I'm like, good.
Honestly, skill issue. Sounds like a you problem.
Yeah.
Maybe just don't poach.
Maybe don't, bro.
Maybe just like follow laws. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds wild, I know, but maybe conserve wildlife instead of going pew pew.
Yeah. Or at least just let it burn itself.
Yeah, like I hate men.
I hate certain kinds of men.
I hate certain kinds of men, I should say. Yes. I love when women though.
Yeah, and also this movie has one of the few endings that makes me get like really choked up. When it has that epic "Love is a Song" chorus at the end.
Mm.
And I'm like, take me to the heavens, Walt. Yeah, that song might actually be like our pride anthem. Love is a song that never ends. God damn it.
Okay.
All right. But it's the one movie that I put in the respect and appreciate tier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So I think Bambi's really boring.
I get it. It's not a narrative.
Yeah, I'm a person who likes plot in movies.
But you said earlier you like themes.
I do like themes, but I like plot with my themes. I like there being like kind of a direction for a story to go. And to me, themes can't carry a movie on its own. You know?
Agree to disagree, but sure.
I can agree that like it is a very beautiful movie. Like visually very beautiful. And the music is also good, but to me it's a little forgettable. And honestly, yeah, like I mean even when I was a kid, I didn't really like Bambi. I didn't like watching it. I only watched it whenever like it would like whenever other people wanted to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
um and I don't know, it doesn't click with me at all. Um and I can definitely appreciate like the message that it's trying to send, and I'm sure, you know, it's needed. It's a needed message.
Mm-hmm.
But personally Bambi doesn't hit for me. And I mean, I want to say I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's not Sword in the Stone or Oliver and Company.
That
But
would be a skill issue on your part.
yeah, that would be me being stupid. Um, so I'm putting Bambi in D tier simply because it doesn't click with me, and I don't personally like find myself invested in it, and it's just not it's not my favorite. There are better movies in my opinion, so
I would disagree if I didn't have the rest of these movies above it. Spoilers.
I mean the rest of the movies are above it, so
Yeah,
except for one.
I think I know what it is.
It's probably pretty obvious which one it is.
Yeah, I already have a mini essay prepared for that, so which I guess yeah, that means we can move on to Dumbo. So Dumbo. I have to say first off that this movie's themes are probably what keeps it in the top categories for me. Like what it has to say about oppression and prejudice, especially to an innocent child. like there's just something I think it comes from being raised as a neurodivergent and having to like struggle with trying to fit into society and stuff like that, but still having that anchor of support. Um, and I'd say that a lot of that sort of, what's another word I can use instead of trumps?
Surpasses?
Yes, thank you. It surpasses the issues that are in this movie for me. I value those themes enough to where that, like, I can watch this movie, be aware of its problems, but still just feel something from it. Like, the worst thing I could say, aside from that, is that it might be a little pandering to moms, but, like...
Yeah, this is a pro mom movie.
Yeah.
Which isn't a problem necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but it is very pro mom.
It's very pro-mom. And also well, I guess I might as well go ahead and read what I wrote. I will say that the big thing that prevents me and probably anyone from really defending Dumbo is the lack of consciousness the creators had in its development. They were so focused on churning out a marketable product that they didn't stop to reflect on the social implications the product would raise on either the progressive or conservative ends of the political spectrum. On one hand, the film has key themes of prejudice and oppression and how they affect Dumbo from literal birth. But Timothy
Literally
later
birth.
literally birth. But Timothy later admonishes the crows for mocking Dumbo without ever considering how they may be oppressed by this society that values people and animals only when they have exploitable resources, i.e., Dumbo's aerodynamic ears. Of the worlds depicted in these films, Dumbo's is the most relentlessly cruel and cynical. It firmly believes that the populace at large lacks empathy, lives for greed, and others those it suspects as foreign and threatening. He, the crows, and the roustabouts are all targets of the white people's prejudice and persecution. So the best conclusion I can come to is that this empathy and compassion, which I acknowledged during our discussion on Beauty and the Beast, should be extended to everyone around us. I know an alarming number of people in my daily life who don't bother to understand people or feel for them, but if there's one notion Dumbo encourages, it's that all animals and people have humanity, and we must nurture that more often. So that alone, and Pink Elephants on Parade, put it in the mushes tier for me.
Okay, hold on. Actually, okay. Dumbo moves up a slot because you reminded me of Pink Elephants on Parade.
Yes.
My bad, Dumbo. Forgot about you had like the best sequence in animation history. Um, okay. Okay, Dumbo. Personally, this is another movie where I don't like that much. Um I don't even like, I mean, like, obviously there's like the problematic elements, but that's like not even like the main reason why I don't like this movie.
Oh,
Um
okay.
yeah, it's kind of hard to like articulate what I don't like about Dumbo. Um it's like it's not the same problem to me as what Bambi has. Cuz I mean obviously there is a plot, but
Yes.
um it's like it feels bare bones.
Yes.
Um
Very simple, straightforward.
yeah, it's very, it feels like there's no meaning. Like obviously there's like the themes of like, oppression, you know, the the humanity in everybody, but it's like
They
it
don't make a
doesn't,
strong enough stance on it.
yeah, it's like there's not a strong enough stance, and it's like that's the easiest lesson they could have taught. You know? Like it's the easy way. It's the easy way out.
But I
Oh
think
yeah,
that it's
treat
probably the most
everybody
effective.
kindly. Yeah, but I mean like it's just they could have done something more and they didn't.
But I feel like
Um
that would compromise the story because it's based on like an original book. And they're at a point in this era where they're not like deviating too far from like their source material.
yeah, but like if you don't want to deviate from the source material, then like then don't. um and don't make a movie where you have this main theme, but then you there are clashing things in this movie where it's like, okay, you say this, but then you do that. Um, and it feels like they're not even fully aware of what they're saying in this movie.
Exactly, that's what I said in my essay.
Yeah, but like it's that, I guess that's what bothers me and why I can't like this movie that much, because it's like, yeah, they're not aware of what they're really saying, and that bothers me.
I would honestly go so far as to say that I'm assuming that part of this has to do with the crows.
And part of
Um,
this does have to do with the crows, but that's
but I
not
will
like the
I
main
will
thing.
say like I think the crows are very good characters that are cloaked under harmful stereotypes.
Yeah.
They're very I wouldn't say that they're like explicitly racist, but they do share negative connotations and they are appropriative more
Yeah.
than malicious.
And it really sucks because they're crows. Crows are like, not only are they, blackbirds, crows are also seen as like being like the most annoying because of their like cawing and stuff.
But aren't they also known for being smart?
They are known for being smart, but like most people would see crows as an annoyance rather
Hmm.
than, being the smart birds that they are. I mean, obviously in recent years that has changed because people have been like, gotten interested in that kind of thing and are like, wow, you can actually befriend a crow and like they'll know you for years. They'll like recognize you.
Hmm.
But back then they didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so to
It
make
wasn't a
like
very
an
reflective time.
no. And so to make the African American stereotypes, because that's what they are, to make
Hmm.
them crows automatically, kind of makes you think this thing of like, okay, these are nuisances. These are birds that like, take up space. And it's very unfortunate that they chose that for characters that are ostensibly African American.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks. So for me, Dumbo just it feels very contradictory, and I don't like that.
Well, I guess
um
I kind of take its contradictions to be like, because they don't come up with a thesis, that means you have the right to make one yourself. And I choose to make one that's more uplifting and constructive.
yeah, but then that just feels lazy on the part of the filmmakers, because it's it's their responsibility as people making art to have a thesis, to have a message that they want to give. And
But I don't think everything needs to.
I mean, not everything needs to, but they set out with that purpose and then they didn't. So they failed.
But like I said, I think they just wanted a product that would make money.
Yeah, but that still means they failed.
I don't think they were going into this movie with the same kind of ambition that they had with Fantasia.
That doesn't matter. They're still making a movie with intent to like say something. And they just they didn't think it through at all. And it shows.
Yes.
And so the only like good sequence for me is Pink Elephants on Parade. Thank you for reminding me about that. So Dumbo goes in C tier. It would be lower if not for Pink Elephants on Parade.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't worry, it only goes uphill from here.
That's great.
It
That's
only goes
great.
uphill from here.
That's great, but I don't know. Maybe I just have more context that I've like looked into, because I will say that Dumbo is the hardest movie to find information about, and that is partly due to the Walt Disney Company.
I mean, I don't think it's a problem of context. This movie just doesn't do anything with the message that it's trying to tell. And then of course obviously it was just made for money, and I feel like they failed in their jobs as filmmakers. That's how simple it is for me.
All right, agree to disagree. Moving on to Fantasia.
Yeah, Fantasia. Hot demon man.
Hot demon. Okay, so this movie is the most audacious film in the entire canon.
And I love it.
So do I. Like, I really
I
can.
didn't get Fantasia until I was older,
Yeah.
but now I'm like it's my shit.
Yeah, I'm just like, who else could possibly make a movie like this? I really can't think of anybody.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would say that's probably for the best.
And they're wrong.
They're wrong. Well, I mean, at the very least, it's like they've been wanting to make Fantasias between 1940 and 1999 when the sequel came out.
Mm-hmm.
There was one they wanted to do in the 70s called Musicana, which would have explored like cultural music.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so sad that that never got realized.
Sadly.
Yeah. But for this one, before I go ahead and like praise the shit out of it, I will say it is very Eurocentric.
Mm-hmm.
There is nobody that you are going to. There are not even any American composers referenced in the movie.
Yeah.
It's all just European show. Not, I was about to say show tunes. European bops that people would have known about for like 200 years or so.
I will say, to be fair, Europe did kind of have a stranglehold on classical music for a while.
It did.
And so a lot of their pieces are what's most popular.
Yes. Well, naturally, you can't go anywhere at Christmas time without hearing the Nutcracker.
Or Carol of the Bells.
Or, unless you've been on TikTok or Instagram and they're like, slob on my knob, corn on the cob, check in with me, then do your job. And I'm like, yes, girl, slay.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It hurts me as a classical music person.
I love both. So
I I hate the stupid parodies that are like full of like fucking 10-year-old meme references.
yeah.
It's like, okay, be creative for once, please.
Yeah, be creative. Add a cupcake remix.
Honestly, anything would be better than the stupid fucking shit that they come up with.
My God. Um, I I will also go ahead and say that my favorite segment is also the dumbest. The Pastoral Symphony.
Yeah.
It is so like this that I will admit that segment it undermines the message of, well, I don't want to say the message, but the point of this movie, which is to blend and interpret music and animation into one
Mm-hmm.
medium. This one is just simply illustrating what the music was already meant to be about.
Yeah.
They just put different set dressing on it. And I know about Sunflower, and y'all are disgusting. So,
Yep.
um, and that's another thing. It's like Dumbo, like there is just that little window of textual evidence that allows me to defend that movie in just a little teeny tiny way. Whereas Fantasia gives me nothing. Like this was just a lazy attempt at comedy that has not aged well, and nobody has had a problem with acting like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because it was pointless. It had nothing to do with the short.
Yeah.
If anything, it was a weird anachronism.
It was just weird. It was just there, and it was weird.
Yeah. And without it, I think the short is a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But my God, like this movie, a lot of people don't like it, and I understand. But at the same time, I'm like, like, why are you here?
Just say you have no taste and move on. Like,
Well, I'm not that harsh, but yeah,
I
basically.
am. I am. I'll say it for you. Don't worry.
Okay. You're the Timothy to my Dumbo. Um, and this movie is just, it has a theme going across the entire movie, across every segment. It all speaks to me spiritually. Like,
Yeah. It's a
so
good
it
movie.
really, really good. And yeah, it's my shiz above
hmm
Dumbo.
Yeah, I love Fantasia. I mean, I would say my favorite segments, um, the Firebird Suite. Um,
Firebird.
that one's that one's good.
What are you
Um,
talking about?
Firebird.
That's in the sequel.
Oh, is it?
Yes!
Oh
I
shit.
know, because that's one of two segments that I liked from that movie.
Oh shoot. I'm sorry.
You're thinking of either The Rite of Spring or Night on Bald Mountain.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I like Night on Bald Mountain. That one's one of my favorites. I might have been thinking Rite of Spring.
Okay. Same composer. I think that might be what
Yeah,
it is.
it was Rite of Spring. Rite of Spring and Night on Bald Mountain are my favorites. I don't know. They're like I am a classical music
Yeah.
person, and all of these like all of the segments like I feel like really capture the music very well. Um, it's really nice to be able to see like the more artistic side of Disney, um, like be able to like actually come out, um, instead of having to be kind of tampered by customer expectation.
Hmm.
And I like the interpretations that they had. I mean, especially Night on Bald Mountain. I mean, we know what's
Hell
so great
yeah.
about that. We got Chernobog. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I will say that I could do without the Rite of Spring, but that's just
Yeah,
me.
but I mean, I like it.
Yeah, it's just the most bleak segment. And it doesn't it has action, but it's got a very slow pace.
I like it.
That's the one where my attention span starts to wane.
Yeah,
I will admit.
and of course, you know, it's I don't know. I just like it.
Yeah, I mean, you
I
do
like the
you.
music.
Yeah.
Of course, all of these shorts just have a special place in my heart. Um, and I truly enjoy getting to like go back and watch them because they all I feel like they all have a little bit to say. Obviously, they
Mm-hmm.
don't have the pleasure of being like a full-length movie. So, they can't say a ton, but
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of artistic intent and I feel like they nail it for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So Fantasia S tier.
She's so baby girl.
She's so baby girl. She's gonna be the prettiest girl at the party.
Well, I don't know about that, but speaking of which, Pinocchio. This movie took the longest for me to love.
Honestly, same.
I avoided it for nearly 10 years. And it wasn't for anything that a lot of people have been freaking out about for decades. It was for a split second close up on a creepy old man, which I still think is fair, but
Yeah.
but everything else about giant whales and boys turning into donkeys and being locked in bird cages and stuff, yeah, that didn't really bother me. Also, child slavery.
Yeah.
That wasn't even a thing for me. It was just a creepy old man.
Literally literally child trafficking.
Yeah. But barring all of that, once I got to man up, so to speak, uh, I grew to appreciate the beauty in this movie. Uh, from aesthetic things like the Blue Fairy to like the musical score, the backgrounds. Oh my god, the backgrounds.
The backgrounds are honestly one of the best parts of this movie. They're
It,
beautiful.
it's so funny because they look like so fantastical and yet so realistic.
Yeah.
Like I could live in that world, but I'd hate to. So
Yeah.
and I think my favorite characters are probably Honest John and Gideon.
Fair.
You don't like him.
I mean, the parts of Pinocchio that I like aren't really connected to the characters. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I will say that I feel like a lot of these characters they are there to express a theme,
yeah.
which can be a little preachy, but like
I
I
mean,
don't know. I think it's just the aesthetics that keep me going.
yeah.
um, and I mean, When You Wish Upon a Star,
Classic.
absolute classic.
Classic.
You deserve that Oscar, baby. You go get that Oscar. um, and I don't think I'm gonna go to this movie on how to be a good person because it's very strict and almost puritanical.
Yeah.
But on a surface level, then I mean, like, sure, it inspires me to do good.
Mm-hmm.
So just don't smoke. Don't
Honestly,
smoke,
just
kids.
don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid. Like,
Don't follow strangers.
well, actually, no. I will go ahead and say that Pinocchio is kind of a victim-blamey movie.
It is a little bit.
Like, this kid literally doesn't know what he's doing, and yet he's being blamed for everything.
Ugh.
So that's a
But
little thing.
this was like the 40s.
Well, technically the 30s, but
30s.
it came out in February of 1940. So,
Yeah, the 40s.
oh my God, shut up. Off that high horse, Hunty.
I just say that because, like, I mean, the 30s and 40s had very similar, like, social norms. So,
I don't think so. I think things got better with the war.
yes, they got different, but I would dare say they are still similar. They didn't change a lot.
So, yeah, I put it in my shiz above Fantasia.
All right, Pinocchio. So, yeah, like I said, most of the things that I like about this movie come from things that aren't the characters. Because I mean, like you said, some of them do come across pretty preachy. Um I would say, I mean, obviously the art, beautiful, especially the backgrounds. And I mean, some of the horror elements in this movie also hit very well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the horror of the idea of turning into a donkey, horrifying. And like the way they show it with, like, the shadows on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
like that's
Great staging.
a genuine horror sequence. And honestly, like, I mean, obviously I didn't appreciate it as a kid because I was terrified.
Mm-hmm.
um but as an adult I can look back on it and be like, that's I mean, that's influenced horror to this day. Like,
It's like a Teen Wolf.
that's not doesn't count as horror.
I know, but it's still a body transformation.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like it works so well, and obviously it's influenced like how many people view body horror and that kind of thing. Um and I can really appreciate that. Um uh the music, I also like, but I mean, it's not my favorite part. Um I'm okay with it, I should say. I'm not offended by the music in Pinocchio.
I am triggered by I've got no strings.
That one does get annoying sometimes.
A little bit.
But yeah, I don't mind it. Um and honestly, I do like, um for me, part of the backbone of this movie is like the relationship between Pinocchio and Geppetto. Um I wish we got a little bit more of that. Um I don't know. I like healthy father son dynamics. um
I will go
and
ahead and ask, have you seen the remake?
I have not.
Okay, it does do a little bit more of that, but I still don't encourage you to watch it.
Yeah, I don't trust the live action remakes.
Yeah, no. I made the
So
mistake of watching it.
but yeah, I do like that portion. Seeing I like seeing Pinocchio being able to just be a kid. And
Hmm.
that is nice. I just I wish they didn't make him feel so much like shit for making bad decisions because he's a fucking kid. Leave
Mm-hmm.
him alone. Why
Yeah.
are you trying to sell him into slavery? He's a fucking child.
And he's like the most goody two shoes child.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna victim blame here.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
he was just caught up in something. So
Yeah.
also the sequence of like with the whale, wild.
Wet and
um,
Wild.
but yeah, I do like Pinocchio. Um, it's just like I watch it for anything but the characters. um, so I put Pinocchio in B tier. Um, and I think it's good there.
Okay. I'm just wondering what we're looking for.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, I'd say that the big thing that all of these movies have in common is that they're all very thematic, first and foremost.
Yeah,
And I understand that some can be a bit more like hitting the nail over the head in more ways than one, but there's just something that's like I feel like these movies do a better job than a lot of more recent films at like conveying those messages. Like they just have a better way of putting their ideas across.
I mean, I can certainly agree with that. With Pinocchio, Snow White, Fantasia, but for me, Dumbo and Bambi just don't hit that mark for me. And I mean, obviously, more modern movies, modern Disney movies, of course, they're a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like as a larger whole, society's different, and movie producers and such don't think that people want deeper themes. They assume that the general public isn't going to dig deep into this kind of thing, and they just want something easy to understand, so it will make more money.
Just kind of like pop music.
Yeah, kind of like pop music. I see what you mean with that. These are better at conveying certain thematic themes. I just repeated myself. Thematic things, themes, bleh.
Tings.
Tings.
Barbie tings.
um, but I mean, we have to agree to disagree on certain like some of the movies in this era, because I see what you mean, but I don't agree.
Okay. And that's fine.
And that's my personal like connection with these movies, is that some of them don't hit, and that's just how it is for me.
Okay. I just felt like getting that out of the way before we tackle our final film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Love her.
I think I'm going to spend this time talking about my problems with it.
Okay.
Okay. I will say that because of how many times I've watched this movie, this is the one where a lot of times I feel like I can't really get into it unless I'm watching it with other people.
Mm.
Because I know it front, back, forwards, upward, down, uh, uphill, sideways. Like, um, I also, I like what this movie has to say until you get to the part where it's like, attractive people are good, unattractive people are evil.
Yeah.
Also, I'm really torn on the dwarfs.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that just earlier last week, some on-set photos from the remake of Snow White have dropped, and they're not even little people. Well, there's like one little person, but it's a lot more taller, diverse. Like,
Mm-hmm.
more diverse cast. And there's just something about it where I'm like, if you decide to go in that route, then I don't think you're really telling the story of Snow White. I think you're trying to tell something else. And I'm sorry, but just I'm showing off a lot of my bias here, but like, I don't think there is any adaptation of Snow White I can think of that tops this one. I don't care how progressive you get. I don't care if you're not a musical or if you are. I don't care if you have a strong independent Snow White or she's traditional or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This movie just hits all of my beats.
And that's fair. That's completely fair.
Yeah. Like, it is probably my favorite piece of conservative media.
Favorite? Honestly, it's probably my favorite piece of conservative media too. It's like the only conservative media that I'm willing to like consume.
Yeah. And I think I think honestly, if this is where I get positive now. Okay. So, I think the reason why all that stuff I let it go by the wayside is because of how joyful it is.
Mm-hmm.
This movie makes me feel like I can get up the next morning and like
I mean, it's
like
a genuinely fun movie. Like,
and it's so happy, no pun intended. Like, and I feel like that's something that like nowadays we parody that kind of thing because it's the first Disney film. It's now seen as archetypal, and therefore it's old fashioned. So therefore we are like, oh, we need to set ourselves apart from that by making fun of it. Whereas I'm just like, no, I think this movie, if it's like really cheesy and corny, it's because it was made for a very depressed audience.
it was made for a very different audience than modern audiences. That's very true.
And a depressed one.
Very
Great Depression.
depressed one.
And it uplifted people back then, and I would hope that it could do the same today.
Mm-hmm.
85 years later. Also, I think it's the oldest movie that our culture has kept around. The next best one would be The Wizard of Oz, but that came out after.
I mean, ugh. I'm just gonna disagree.
Little kids today know who Snow White is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not counting like short cartoons or anything. So like, yes, people know about Mickey Mouse, but they're not watching the old cartoons and stuff like that. But
I'm just oldest Disney film. Oldest Disney film. That's what I'm gonna agree on.
What are you thinking of?
Everybody knows who Dracula is. Just saying.
But they don't think of Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
A lot do.
They think of Count Chocula too.
A lot of people think of Nosferatu too.
Well, that's funny because I haven't. I just remember the really long pointy fingers.
I'm just saying that I disagree. And
Wyatt, you're full of shit.
I'm not going to say that, but
I know.
You said it first, so...
Wow, okay, okay. Fine. Also, wasn't Dracula like 1931?
Let me check.
I know the novel was earlier, but
Bela Lugosi... Dracula. It was 1931.
Okay, got it. Yes. But I just don't think a lot of people are popping that movie on. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, of course, it's not the easiest film to pop on.
Yeah,
but
and I guess
it's constantly referenced in pop culture media. It
Uh-huh.
is basically the Dracula adaptation that people agree on.
Okay.
And like, I mean, obviously Bela Lugosi is the Dracula. Like, he is Dracula.
But I guess I'm going off of, like, if you're talking to somebody who has absolutely no knowledge of film history, has no idea when anything was made, but they still have an eye on, like, modern pop culture, maybe Dracula's here and there, but because of the Disney brand, Snow White is everywhere. There's more aggressive publicity for that movie, even still.
Yeah, but that still doesn't, it doesn't diminish the effect that other older movies have had on pop culture.
No,
And
that's not what I'm
there
saying.
are older movies that are still around and still make impacts and are still important. And I just disagree that Snow White is the oldest that, like, still has an active effect on pop culture. That's just what I disagree on.
Okay.
I say this as someone who almost studied film, so that's just my opinion.
Okay, I'll admit I didn't have a formal education, but
I mean, I didn't either, but like I'm someone who is very entrenched in film, and because I have an interest in that thing.
well, so do I. But I mean, like,
yeah, but I mean, I'm interested more in like the broader scope of it rather than just, you know, animation or Disney.
so am I.
Yeah, but you're just completely ignoring other films that had
I
like a
literally
lot
talked
of
about 2
impact.
MGM movies on this podcast. I talked about The Pirate with Patricia Ward Kelly.
Yes, but like I'm just saying that like Snow White isn't the end all be all. That's all
And
I'm
no,
saying.
no.
I love Snow White. I do.
I will concede that I probably made an extreme point.
It that's what it is. It felt extreme, and I was like, there were other films
I was
that
being
came out around the
extreme, but
same
I wasn't
time.
being serious.
Okay.
Okay. I guess my final thing is that this movie makes me believe that Happily Ever After still exists. And I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
So I'm putting it in my shiz above Pinocchio.
All right. Snow White. I mean, I got most of my thoughts out.
Mm.
But Snow White as a movie, I will say I've grown to like it. Whenever I was younger, I didn't like it that much, but I've definitely come to appreciate it. And I think it has good things to say, even if it, you know, kind of gets caught up in the pretty people good, ugly people bad, kind of thing. Um, some of my problems with it come from the treatment of the dwarves. I think, as I've said on the podcast before,
Yes.
these are adult men. They should not have like a 16-year-old
14-year-old.
14-year-old. Sorry, I forgot she was even younger.
Yeah.
14-year-old parenting them.
But I will go ahead and say that I don't think it's a one-sided relationship going on. I really think that
obviously
that
they
she
give.
is
Obviously
she is
they
their.
give her, she shouldn't have to be their mother.
I know, but I'm also saying that she is also there to serve a role as wife and daughter to their fathers, husbands, and sons.
That's weird.
It is really weird and very traditional and conservative. But
it just bothers me because she's a child. She is a child. And she's being parentified for grown men. And it just goes more into the infantilization of people with dwarfism, where it's like, there's no need for that. These are adult men who have been living in these woods, going to the mine for years, and they should know how to take care of themselves. And they shouldn't make a child become their mother, because they
she
shouldn't
offered
need
the
it.
idea.
She's a
She was like,
child. She doesn't know any better.
but she's been a scullery maid all her life.
Okay, then she can just like clean. She doesn't have to be a mom.
She was like, if you let me stay, I'll keep house for you.
Yeah, but like it's the whole thing with her becoming a mother. Like children should not be mothers.
End of statement.
End of statement. Thank you. Thank you. Don't be weird to kids. Thanks. um I don't like that aspect of they treat her it goes into the whole problem of treating young girls like they should be more mature when no, they're children. They should be allowed to feel like other things other than having to be nurturing or
Mm-hmm.
kind. It's
Same problem as Peter Pan.
same problem as Peter Pan. Just opposite sexes, you know?
Yeah.
Because like obviously, Peter Pan has the problem where he's like I said, what incels want to think they are.
But I think
um
Wendy's expected to grow up faster
oh
than
yeah,
her
Wendy is
brothers.
expected to grow up very fast. I mean she's expected to basically take care of them.
Yeah.
And obviously Peter Pan expects her to do that too.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to grow up because he's the boy, and so he gets to stay childish forever.
Yes.
Um, and then the same thing is expected of Snow White, where she has to do all these things and still be kind and still be this nurturing person, even though I mean she would have every right to be angry. um, of course, a lot of that is overshadowed by like the big moral of if you're kind, good things will happen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I still find joy in this movie. It is still a very good movie. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of I mean, like obviously, like the dance sequence in the cottage, I
Mm-hmm.
really like that.
That's probably
That's
my
like,
favorite scene too.
I mean, yeah, it's a scene that like gives you a lot of like you can feel the joy
Yes.
in that scene, and it's just a fun scene.
Yeah.
Um, and so I can put aside my bigger grievances, um, just for the fact that this is it's a product of its time, and I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And I still find joy in it, so I can put aside what I don't like to enjoy it again.
Okay.
Um, so I put Snow White in A tier.
Okay.
But I do still enjoy it. So
Yeah. I will go ahead and say that one thing that I thought of as you were talking was that I think part of the reason why I'm iffy about the gender thing is because of what this movie has to say about labor and how like everyone that isn't the queen and the prince is contributing in some way. And it's honestly kind of cool that like you have this princess. It's like, yeah, sure, she's 14 and she's expected to be a mom. Um but she's still performing labor for working class people,
I
and
just
she's like getting down to their level instead of being the superior princess, you know.
part of it also comes from the fact that I was raised female.
Mm.
So there's a fundamental difference in how you were raised versus how I was raised.
Mhm.
And it is baked into our society, even now in our more modern age, that young girls have to be more mature. They have to be able to multitask. They have to handle
Mhm.
everything that is thrown at them, while boys get to just fuck around and do whatever the fuck they want.
Depending on your orientation and things like that.
Yeah. But I mean, the norm is, cishet
Mhm.
male gets to do whatever he wants, gets to be annoying, gets to be angry, gets to do all of that, while young girls, they can't do that. Otherwise, they get called like bitchy or
Annoying.
annoying or like, and it's really frustrating because that's what I see in Snow White. And my main thing is that it's okay to, you know, be a young girl and you don't have to do those things.
Yeah.
You don't have to babysit the annoying kid in class because your teacher says that you're the more mature one. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to sit there and, be told that you're being like dramatic for having feelings.
Mm-hmm.
um and the unfortunate side effect of the moral from Snow White is that it's girls have to be pretty, girls have to be kind, girls have to be nurturing. And obviously that's not the main takeaway.
I don't think it's a very harsh message.
It's not harsh, but it's still harmful.
Mm-hmm.
And I I just want to acknowledge that.
And that's fair.
Um and
I think I just let my historical fascination with it, like,
which is it's I'm not saying it's like, oh, this is hard to articulate. Um it's just I need to point it out
yes,
because
yes.
um it is very much a message that is unfortunately in this film, that
Hmm.
girls have to act a certain way when no, they shouldn't have to.
Yeah, they can express emotion.
Yeah, and they have no obligation to have to put up with men.
Yes.
They have no obligation to have to put up with, infantile men.
Mm-hmm.
Um
I can concede with that.
yeah. Um but that's just the one point I wanted to make. Snow White, I put it in A tier. And even with its like, even with the parts that I don't like, I can still find like, I still like this movie. And I think it is important for film history, obviously, but also just as like, its place in animation history. um
Mm-hmm.
and it deserves that. It deserves its place, it deserves the awards, it deserves, you know the accolades. um I believe that sometimes it is good to scrutinize it a little bit for what it is,
Yeah.
because it is conservative media. So,
Yes. Yes.
but I'm not saying, go and hate on it, because it's
Yeah.
still it's still a work of art.
Yes.
um but
It's the reason why we're here.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Or at least why I'm here, because I feel the need to break it down for another 20 episodes. Um, but, yeah. So I guess we can go from bottom to top.
Do you want to go first this time?
All right. I have nothing in the Chicken Little category, nothing in the dud, nothing in the ite. Bambi is in the respect and appreciate tier. And in the mushes tier, we have Dumbo, Fantasia, Pinocchio, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
All right. I have nothing in F. um Bambi is in D. Dumbo is in C. Pinocchio is in B. Snow White is in A. And Fantasia is in S.
Do you have a movie in every tier?
I have a movie in every tier but F.
Okay.
I have one empty tier.
Wow.
At least
Okay.
nothing was an F.
Well, yes, of course. But I mean, like, that's cool.
To be fair, there would have been 2 in D, but
Yes,
Dumbo
yes,
got
but
moved up.
it got moved up for surrealism.
For surrealism, which I love. I love surrealism.
Yeah. But, yeah. I guess then we can move on to our final question, which is, how do you think the films of the Golden Age influence the way the Walt Disney Studios produces films to this day?
I mean, obviously Snow White influenced every single like Disney princess movie.
Hmm.
You know, like but other than that, I mean, it feels like Fantasia took a lot of the passion out of Disney. Because I mean, it was a failure, unfortunately. Um,
And it was so
and
personal.
it was very personal, and it failed. And I feel like he never really recovered from that. Um, and I feel like it shows with a lot of the movies going forward that he never really got that creative spark back. Um, I think the same goes for a lot of the animators and storyboarders. All of them, they never got that back. Um,
Not in One Piece.
not fully. I mean, some of them it got better,
I
but
think of Sleeping Beauty.
yeah,
But
it's really unfortunate that the music died so early on. um, and we're still dealing with the consequences of that now.
what a
So
bleak way to put it. Instead of we can now recall fondly these works of art, instead of we live in a hellscape and these movies are responsible.
we're in the Disney recession. I'm allowed to be depressed.
Fine.
I'm allowed to be bleak. It's a recession. It's not a depression, but a recession.
I mean, Bob Iger is not helping things.
He is not.
Nope. Oh man. First off, I gotta say that this is the era that I am the most sentimental about.
Mm-hmm.
Because of I just love the notion of art.
Mm-hmm.
How do I put it? That's gonna go into a sentence, I promise.
I
But
was like, I was sure it was going somewhere, but then it
I
just
love art.
paused, and I was like, huh?
I love art.
I mean, that's a non controversial statement.
Yeah. But I love how art made history.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels such a big deal, especially now considering the strikes going on. It's like these moments in time when creativity was valued by the masses.
Yeah.
Maybe it kind of got detracted a bit because of Fantasia, but um
My beloved.
my beloved. But it just makes me think about like whatever shortcomings they've had as a studio in the subsequent decades. There's always that solid, beautiful bedrock of these movies that they have to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
Until they start marketing them and making them out like cheap whores.
Live action remakes.
Live action remakes. The Vault.
Make the vault free, Disney.
Well, they have, kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Open the vault. Let me Let me in the boneyard once, Disney. Please, let me go to the boneyard. Disney, I want to go to the boneyard, please.
Take me to Beastly Kingdom.
Please, I just want to go to Beastly Kingdom. Why did you do Dino Land USA? Why couldn't you just fucking done Beastly Kingdom?
Oh my god. But I don't know why I feel like I'm getting emotional about this, but these movies are so old, and yet they still feel so new.
Mm.
In some ways.
In some ways.
In some ways.
Some parts aged like milk.
Yes. Yes.
Already spoiled milk.
Yes. Yes. But I don't know. Just the artistic side of things, it still feels fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we'll ever see anything like them again.
Mm-hmm.
Until we hit another... You know what? No, I'm not even going to open that door. I'm not even going to say... Disney, get better. We don't need economic downfalls to influence your success.
Please, Disney. Please.
Yeah.
I still don't really know what to expect from Wish. I'm gonna be real.
I have a feeling it's going to be the Cinderella of the recession.
I hope so.
I hope so.
But I'm also scared.
Yeah. But until then...
On that bleak note,
just let me rest in these damn movies. But yeah, that concludes this chapter on Disney Reel to Reel.
Way to go, us.
Way to go, us. We did it.
We did it.
We started ranking these movies in March?
I think it was March,
Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah, and we... April, May, June, July. Just 5 months of binging these movies.
Yeah. 60 plus movies.
60 plus movies. And I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
That was a lot. But from here on out, things will, unless we do more rankings, things will go at a much smaller scale.
Oh, we started in April.
Oh, so 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. March. Maybe it was March.
Okay. 4 to 5.
Oh! Hold on. January.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah.
So 7 months. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember I had classes. I'm scrolling through our text history right now.
Okay, yeah.
And that's how I'm. Yeah, January.
All right.
Mid-January. That's when we started.
Yeah.
Because that's when we did the package films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my final question, because this doesn't really have to do with the next ranking episode that we'll do. What do you think is your favorite era that we've discussed?
I have to look at I have to look at lists of all the movies because I can't remember anything.
I mean, you could have just referred to my catalog on Spotify. It really narrows the shit down.
I'm stupid.
Oh my god.
I would say probably Silver. Yeah. Honestly, Silver Age is probably my favorite.
Interesting. I mean, it's where capitalism meets art, so I kind of get it.
Alice in Wonderland. Oh, you beautiful film.
Yes. I
You beautiful
wholeheartedly
bastard,
agree.
you.
You beautiful bastard.
I want to kiss you so bad. It makes me look stupid.
um, yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say my favorite's the Golden Age.
Yeah.
I everything except Bambi. I'm jabberjaw.
When your mom.
It's like when your artistic mom and your financial dad hook up, and you make Snow White. God bless the Bank of America. Oh my god. But yeah. So I guess that means our next episode will be our final rankings. Top and bottom.
Wee.
I don't know which one will be easier for us to construct.
I honestly don't know either.
Like we did talk about our bottom tier picks a couple weeks ago, and we seem to agree on those, but it'll just be a matter of where we want to put them on the ranking list.
Yeah. That's what'll be hard.
Yeah.
And then the darlings.
But until then, y'all can reach out to us at disneyreeltoreel@gmail.com or on Instagram at disreeltoreelpodcast.
You can also reach out to us on Tumblr at disreeltoreel-official.tumblr.com.
Beautiful.
I literally forgot it for a second.
Yeah.
I was like, I know it's something, but I got it. I got it. I got there eventually.
Yeah. That's what matters. But yeah, I guess until next time, have a magical day, everybody.
Bye-bye.